All right. Hopefully I'm back now. My internet died. Yeah, we died. Let me know if you guys can still hear me or see me. I'm not sure if the stream is dead. Let me go back to my... All right, so I guess I am back, but I'm back in a... It started a different stream. That's really annoying. This is entirely my fault. I forgot to turn my VPN off while I was streaming. That's a big no-no. All right, Tensky, I'll just finish up the meta chart for you. Yeah, I don't know. That's a bummer. I don't even know where I was when we died. Yeah, I know. Brutal. Pretty brutal. Yeah. Anyway, let me look at Google real quick, and then we'll call it a day. Yeah, Google, same story as Facebook. You got thick supply zone that we can't get through. You got to break a structure here with a pretty violent move, right? So probably expecting some sort of bounce here, and then maybe looking for a short back down, from this swing, possibility we fill this gap. But I would be basically just fibbing this out. I like to use like a 30, 50, 70 fib, and then basically I'm looking for price to kind of come back into this zone on the lower time frames and give some sort of short setup. But yeah, Google looks rough. Google and Facebook, like if I'm gonna long them, I would just, I don't know, I would rather just have them break all time highs and then and then long versus kind of longing up here. But I think there's pretty good chance that this zone here ends up being a good spot for Google. And some of these targets are pretty far down. This is 13%. That's very doable. What's up, Bernie? Yeah, we're kind of back, but it started a new stream, and now the one that's published is just going to get cut off in the middle of it. Maybe I'll just retitle it Part 2, but it's kind of it's going to mess up the Spotify, but it's probably not too many people listening on there yet anyway. So Oh well. So yeah, Facebook looks bad. Google looks bad. What else are people trading these days? NVIDIA. God, I keep calling it NVIDIA now because of Nick. Bastard. That's not what I want. NVDA. There we go. Woo! This one is hanging on by a razor's edge here. Yeah, this is your structure right here. we're flirting with it. Absolutely flirting with it right now. No close below it today. I think that was really close. Oh, this is a 3-day. I should probably look at a daily chart now. Oof, that was tight. Yeah, what's the low here? 403.11. And the close today was 403.26. 15 cents above structure. But yeah, I mean this looks really bad. Really bad to me. Like this is basically just like basic bitch head and shoulders stuff. I don't really trade head and shoulders patterns. But yeah, I would be looking for a break, tap into this order block, somewhere back up into this leg, and then that's what we look like right now. And like that, man, that could be a big short. Like we could easily just close this whole gap. That's a nice 22% move. But there's no solid demand for this thing until that is way down there. Like 60%. Like that's insane. That's like all the way back to the September move. I don't know. I am skeptical that stocks get wrecked this much. Kasim, you were asking about the index. I've been printing money shorting this thing because this idea that I had a few days ago was very correct. I don't know if I think I showed it on stream a few weeks ago, but I said these lows here are just an absolute magnet for price, and this is about as easy of a swing trade as it gets. I mean, like you had your market structure here. This is the break. This is your break of structure, right? Price comes back up into the prior swing that tested structure. So you got like you got your fib on this zone here, and we tap very nicely into the 30, right? So you get or the 70. You get the 30, the 50, and the 70. It's kind of like areas of interest where I look for a reversal. So you can kind of zoom in on the 4-hour chart and see what's happening in these zones. You could see on that initial move down, like this is a pretty inefficient move on the 4-hour and on the daily especially. So go back to the daily there. So that impulse move down, and this is what I was talking about before the stream got cut off. Like you want to see like impulsive moves. You want to see displacement in the direction of your liquidity magnet in order to enter a trade. So here, a move left this daily fair value gap, right? Initially came, collected some liquidity at these lows, and then price, like this was lined up way in advance, right? Like as soon as price takes this low, you're looking for it to come back up into an area of interest. You've got the fib on the larger swing to kind of give you your really high time frame areas of interest, and then you're looking for PD arrays that line up with each of these levels, right? So if I was looking at the 50, it's like, is there a great thing to bounce off of here? Not really. But then you move up to the 30 line, and right in the middle of the 30 line, you have a fair value gap, and then you also have, I mean, this is probably like a breaker block as well. So you have a price that kind of gave like an up move, and it just goes straight through it without stopping. So breakers often act as they flip from support to resistance when they're retested from the other side. So you got the lower high, you got the breaker structure, you've got the breaker, you've got the daily fair value gap, and you've got your 30 fib level, right? So you're lined up on this day, just waiting for this to happen. And then it was kind of hard to get on board the move, to be honest, because you probably wanted to take this move down here, and a lot of people probably got involved here, and then whoop, they get liquidated. And then this high gets taken by another move up, and then these people get liquidated. And then you finally get a really big move down. Like this is a huge impulse here, right? If we do a 12-hour chart, it's probably just one candle. So, yeah. And this is like a pretty nuanced thing, but it's I think important to note if you're trading. If you get into the short here, you're immediately looking below you to see what kind of zones there are that price could get a reaction from. And right here, we have a huge imbalance. These imbalances frequently give a reaction that runs the existing high that gave the move down. This is something I've noticed a lot in backtesting. It's like very, very common. So you'll get a move, you'll get like a consolidation, right? And then you'll get like a thick move up. And then it'll look like you have some structure break and price goes down. But what's very common is you get a quick reaction off of the imbalance, and then you take this high, and then you end up continuing lower. So if you're taking this trade, I think you're sort of delusional to think that it's just going to be like, yep, goodbye, easy money. You're kind of expecting some sort of reaction off of this area, and you're at a minimum taking some heavy profits here, and then probably almost certainly moving your stop to break even, so you don't give back the entire move and get liquidated. And you can see that on the move that actually gave us the big dump. We had a really big look at this impulse candle. Like that is displacement right there. You get one huge candle, takes out the low, and price just kind of taps into it a little bit, and then it's gone. But at this point, because price has already come down and mitigated this zone, right? Like once price tests an area and kind of you get a reaction from it, the next time price returns to that area, it's more likely that it's going to just give way in one shot, right? Like if this is a demand zone and price keeps tapping it and tapping it and tapping it and tapping it, eventually all the people who are buying there they're just run out of ammo, and they no longer have their limit orders set, and then price can kind of move through that super quickly. So that was your first leg down, if on the short. But then, like, once again, you have to be worried about this low here, right? And then you have this whole zone here before you actually get to these lows that we're targeting, right? So both of these areas can provide like a reaction. Like when you have a setup where you have like a critical higher time frame, higher low, and then it's backstopped to the left with like a demand zone like this, it's a very high probability that price violently reverses off of that level. Not even necessarily to make new highs and change structure, but you just get a reversal. So you can see right here, you get that wick below, and then actually double bottoms, and then whoo, violent move up. But again, I was doing the same thing here on the next leg because I entered again on this next leg down. And what was I doing? Well, I was using my fib on the most recent swing. And then I'm looking at these fib levels and I'm saying, okay, what lines up with like the 50 or the 70? Because that's probably, like we're probably not going to react off the 30 and go down because it was kind of like a really shallow move. So I think there's a good chance you go deep back up into premium of that prior range. But I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, well, I have an imbalance here, right? And then I also have this demand zone here sitting right on the 30 line. And that's a pretty critical zone because if you look at what happened there, we had a little consolidation and boom, we had a massive impulse move down. So there's a very high likelihood that price delivers a super strong reaction off of this level, and then it propels us downward. So I was watching this level like a hawk, and then basically as soon as this low got ripped, I just had my eye on this gap here, set an order inside of this gap. And this is one of those nice trades that just never gives you a problem. All of these, like every single high that you got short on was just respected. This thing just absolutely dumped. It wasn't until here that we get a run of the high, but that's after we take out this low. And you can see once again, you get a reaction off this level. And then we ultimately trade lower. I closed out the trade like here because I don't know, like I thought there's a very good chance that we had a pretty strong reaction off of this order block. In retrospect, we didn't. In retrospect, we kind of went straight to my target. I probably should have left a little bit of a runner on. But in my mind, I was going to be able to get back in with a high probability, but I never really got that re-entry. So yeah, like similar dynamics on the NASDAQ chart itself to what you're seeing with Facebook and Google and everything else. Like they're all running into the same thing. They're all running into some, last point of monthly supply before the all-time high, and then sort of dumping down. This is similar to some of the other charts where it's like kind of hard to see any zones on the monthly. And like I'm pretty concerned with the zone that broke this high, which is this down here. So I think there's a pretty good chance that we ultimately dip down there. That's another 8% move down. But like I'm not knife catching, right? I'm watching this zone. I'm gonna have my fibs on in this zone, and I'm gonna probably have my fibs on in this zone as well. And then like the origin of the move is down here, so this is like the last stop for you. So each of these areas, like I'm gonna be looking for some sort of reversal, probably on the daily. And then looking for like an entry on the 1 hour or so. Yeah, so that's kind of where I see NASDAQ. I think that one thing that makes me think that we won't go super low is that the S&P 500 is kind of already it's already flirting with the zone that gave the structure break, right? We're already tapping into it, so it's totally possible that we bottom here. It would be kind of an interesting time to bottom because everybody is like really, really, really bearish. I feel like this is similar to Bitcoin, where people were like ultra bearish, right? Like here, right? Everybody was like, it's over. In reality, like we didn't even make a new low. So what people were doing is getting just deathly bullish at like very, very strong support. And then you see a similar thing happening right now in ES, which is that, you know, we haven't broken monthly structure, right? Like we just had a really, really big move up, and now we're getting a retracement. This is actually an interesting thing I hadn't seen. So these wicks are often interesting reversal points. So there's confluence with the wick and like the 50% of this zone. Yeah, because you can see on the monthly, this is where price dipped into. It was bought up super quickly, and then we immediately had this thick candle. So yeah, I hadn't noticed this before, but yeah, I really like this zone here. And another thing I do that I don't know if I've shared on this stream before, especially when I'm trading TradFi stuff, is I like to use fib extensions to kind of project where a move might go. This isn't like a science, but it works. It works surprisingly well. So a really high time frame daily. You know, this is kind of square in the one range, and then if I kind of zoom in a little more, right, fine. Okay, where did the move begin? Like I'm looking for like an area of kind of accumulation, and then a manipulation, and then a move in the other direction. So this right here is basically the manipulation that started this, ignited this entire thing. And I like to trade legs from up to about like the second standard deviation. And as a general rule of thumb, when price crosses 2.5, then it very frequently goes for 4. And you can actually see that we reversed very, very, very nicely in this zone here. So that's something you can look at as well. You can kind of do these projections, and then you can look to the left and be like, is there anything we might reverse off of? And like you see these lows, right? And then you see the 2.5 zone, and you could be like, good chance we reverse here because we've got this liquidity to take and reverse, and then we've also got this projection. But if you go all the way down to sort of like the 4 to 5, you know, that lines up pretty well. Like, you know, this is basically exactly five standard deviation move, like five multiples of this range, basically, get you there. So some decent confluence for a bottom there, I think. If you measure this manipulation on the daily, though, like if you're doing this, you actually would get a target of 39.66 to 38.54. This is also a really interesting zone for me because you would basically have price just clean out all of these lows and then find this monthly demand area, and then possibly go back up. You can see on the monthly chart that if we go down in here, like it's not really a structure break on the monthly. That move would be Well, I mean, we've already broken structure on the weekly anyway, so we're not like too concerned about that. But yeah, those are the two areas I'm watching. This current zone we're in, basically, 4,100, and then 39.65 to 38.72. I've got my eye on for reversals there because I do think I do think this is going higher. I do. You can kind of call some of these. Where it's there. Yeah. So if you fib out what does that do? This is the manipulation leg that set everything off, and it worked pretty well, right? So here's your bottom, and then you have this manipulation, and then we reverse. And where did we reverse at the top? I mean, almost exactly at the 2.5. So it's kind of interesting, right? And then when I use these projections, like I'm not just looking at these zones blindly. I'm looking to the left and I'm saying, oh, what lines up with the 2.5, right? And my eye would be immediately drawn to this high because it's pretty close. And look at that. We basically just ticked it real quick, nicked it, and then we were done. So that's a great example of a trade that you could have kind of planned on the higher time frame, and you could have ridden this trade for a long time, and then in the whole middle you could have made a lot of nice moves. Like if you're betting on this entire thing getting to 2.5, you can kind of just keep longing on pullbacks because you can see that every single blow we put in gets respected. Until we take our target. And this is how price moves most of the time, right? Like when price starts reversing in the opposite direction, there's some draw on liquidity it's going to, right? In this instance, you could have projected that it would be this high because of the alignment with the fib projections, right? Price, at least on the S&P 500, which is one of the reasons I like trading it, it's very clean. It tends to hold structure until the point at which it delivers at its liquidity target. And at that point, you will now see those structures being disrespected, right? So we broke that structure here. That was a sign that the order flow is now going in the opposite direction. We broke this structure, and the question is going to be like, are we going to take out these two? Or are we ultimately going to reverse? But yeah, I'll be looking for a similar setup to form when there is a bottom. I'll be looking for, some sort of accumulation, some sort of manipulation to fib out, and then we'll do the whole thing all over again, probably targeting all-time highs and beyond. It's interesting, like if you actually project this fib all the way up, you could imagine that this is just one gigantic move, right? Where you've got to move up here, and we got a retracement here, and then we go up to here. It's kind of how I'm expecting things to go right now. I don't own any stocks yet because I didn't buy any at the bottom, and then once we started ripping, I didn't see a lot of value there. The other thing to note is that price is not going to be into a discount until 40.65. So, yeah, pretty plausible, honestly, that because of where the 50% fib is, yeah, that's a pretty nice setup. That's a pretty nice setup. You've got this. Yeah, the other reason this might happen, now that I'm looking at it, is so we had this like zone here, and price, if you look at it, has already traded out of the zone and then come back to retest it. So this zone is like already partially mitigated, which means it could be susceptible to price just falling through it. And then you can see that this zone here, you could call it this whole down leg, right? Last down leg before we kind of continue to the upside. This entire area has never been tested. So yeah, it's actually super plausible to me that price runs these lows and then finds some support here and then continues upward, especially since the fib, the 50% fib lines up perfectly with these lows. So yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting thing to target. And if we get another move, like say we kind of bottom here in this zone and then we retrace back up into here, this is probably a cool trade. So you take a short, like there's a, I don't know, maybe you get in on that imbalance and you take this down. It's a solid 2-to-1 trade, and in reality, like it could also theoretically just keep going. Like if you see it just turbo nuking, you could be like, well, I guess we're going back to the lows, and then it becomes like a nice trade. So yeah, I'd be looking for a setup like this. Definitely have an eye. Got a fair value gap here, so could do a similar thing. This is what we did here, right? Like we didn't trade back up into supply. We traded back into this daily fair value gap. So yeah, be a pretty clean move. Pretty clean move if you wanted to take it. All right. I guess we'll wrap it there, unless anybody has any super burning questions. But I think we lost everybody else because of the stream malfunction, unfortunately. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I'll be sure to try to turn my VPN off next time, because routing the internet connection through Switzerland is probably not optimal for the viewing experience on your end. Anyway, if you guys aren't following me on Twitter already, shoot me a follow at Steven Cesaro. I got the link in the description. I'm also on Friendtech if you guys are using Friendtech, and I'm doing some like extra charts in there and chatting with people if you feel so inclined to purchase me and the rights to my name. I'm going to try to do this again next week. I kind of like this Thursday 2 o'clock time. I'm hesitant to nail down an exact time yet because I don't know what time of day is best for me, and I'm actually not sure if it's worth doing these earlier streams to get the Euros in. Like my idea was to do it a little earlier so that our friends in the UK can actually watch, because they don't get to watch the podcast. But yeah, I'll just keep you guys in the loop. Just stay in touch with my Twitter and listen to me in the Alpha Pod Discord, and I'll announce the next stream time. But until then, may all your coins go up only, and I will see you probably next week.